Welcome to the Spa Girls podcast, the self-publishing podcast for authors. You're in the right place for the best writing, marketing, publishing advice, plus interviews with industry experts and best-selling authors. I'm Shar Barrett.
And I'm Trudi J. We're missing the middle two Spa
I know,
Girls today.
doesn't it feel weird that it's just us in the house this morning?
Plus, we've got a very exciting guest. We've got the lovely, the delightful, the darling Tania Hutley. Hi. So Tania is a long-time writing friend of ours, and she's my collaboration partner for a series of urban fantasy books, and she's an amazing author in her own right. And I'm going to read a quick bio for her. And then we're going to get into talking about courses and the various courses we've all done and what we recommend and how it all works. And Tanya's actually also would you call it a lecturer, a mentor? Tutor. Okay. I like mentor, guide.
Mentor's good.
But for a series, for about 3 different courses as well. So she knows what she's talking about in terms of courses, and also all 3 of us, because we are the course takers of the Spa Girls. And Tania has also taken many, many courses out there in the self-publishing world. But first, I'm going to read out Tania's bio. Best-selling author. Well, actually, so this is the, sorry, I'm going to have to clarify it. This is the bio for Talia Hunter, which is actually Tania's romance pen name. So it's Talia Hunter, best-selling author Talia Hunter likes to include her 3 favorite things in her novels: toe-curling romance, snort laughs, and a heartwarming friendships. Oh God, I'm reading this terribly. She recently moved to Australia, where she's constantly amazed and not at all freaked out by the weird and wonderful critters. When she's not writing, you can usually find her with a glass of wine, a good book, and a jumbo-sized can of bug spray.
I thought it was going to be a jumbo-sized can of beer, but, you know, being in Australia.
Makes sense.
That would be good.
And if you listen to that bio, you'll get a really good sense that actually Tania is very funny. And so she's also written middle grade books, which are hilarious, the funniest books you'll ever read. She's awesome. She's the best person at mashups, does genre mashups, and they're awesome. And she's also written science fiction books. So she's a really experienced author. So
Thank you, Trudy. I'll pay you all that money later.
No worries. See, again, nice so funny. Anyway, and so a lot of your romance would be considered rom-coms. Is that correct? Yeah. So, okay, so we're going to talk about courses today. And because Shar and I, obviously the ones in the spa who always do all the courses, we thought that seeing as the other 2 were off doing other things, that this might be a good opportunity to talk about that. So where do we want to start, people? Are we going to...
Maybe we could just initially start with a disclaimer, which is never a good way to start a podcast, but I just wanted to clarify that we're only talking about courses or learning that we've done ourselves. So we're not here pitching random things. So we're just it's only hands-on experience only in this episode, and also that we're not affiliates for any except for Mark Dawson's one. So I just want to be really upfront about that, and we would really appreciate it should you decide to do the SPF courses. If you click the link through our website, you don't pay anymore, but we get good brownie points. So thank you for that. But that's it. We're not getting any kickbacks from any of these people that we're talking about. So this is all kind of genuine, I guess, thoughts, feedback, experiences.
Yeah, because we've done many, many courses.
We have done many, and somewhat shamefully, I just looked on my Trello board that I have purely for courses.
This is not about shaming, Shar.
Oh, man. But maybe we can talk about that a little further in the episode, is how you actually take in the information from courses, how you best learn, because I think that can go a long way into deciding what the right course for you is.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about that, because there's different types of courses and different things you can do there. And one thing I wanted to mention was I was looking around and I had the stat in my head and I was almost right with it, but that around the number of people who finish courses is only between 5 and 15%. So that's tiny, right? When you think about how many, and I know I'm
surprised it's as high as 15, to be honest with you. I'd heard the 5% one too.
And actually some courses have higher finish rates in that's an industry average, and some of them, like I saw one, it was like as low as 0.7% of people finishing, you know, like
Wow.
it's really small, but it's I think, but there are different types of courses, and they were talking about, like, from the perspective of, so you can do an in-person course, so you could go to a place and meet a person and do a day-long or a whatever course, or a weekly course. I've done weekly courses. You can do online courses, and then there's the online courses that are just videos where you can kind of watch them at your own pace and you're self-managing, and then there's the kind of course that takes place as a certain time frame, so, you know, an 8-week time frame. And through that 8 weeks, you watch the videos, but you also have like check-ins with the person taking it, or video calls, or you know, a place to meet, say on Facebook or whatever.
But
so
more
those ones,
interaction sort of.
and apparently those kind of ones have a higher finish rate, obviously. And I think from a perspective of someone looking for a course to take, something like that is probably going to engage you more and be more likely to get more out of it, and you're more likely to finish it. So that's something to take into account, I guess, is kind of my point of that whole rambling story.
Yeah, no, totally. And but having said that, that's for me, I'm the same. I like a time limited one where it kind of, but then there's other people whose lives that maybe they're fitting it in around work, family, all that kind of thing, and maybe just accessing it when it suits them is the right way. So it's probably a little bit of know thyself, maybe, on 100%. This one too.
Because the fact that so few people actually finish courses, it's kind of like, that's also know thyself, right? You know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So Tania, what courses have you done that you sort of think that what's your favorite course you've ever done in your life?
Well, that's a hard question to answer, because I think we were talking about this earlier, but I'm currently doing Becca Syme's course, which is the Write Better Faster class, and I'm absolutely loving that. And I think that's one of the things that she talks about is in the course is when you take on something, when you decide you're going to do something, there's always a sacrifice that you have to make to do it. And I think that's true for taking any course, is that before you sign up, you need to think, okay, this course, not only do I have to watch the videos, meet the person, whatever, I have to allocate that time, I also have to do something after that course to reflect back what the course has taught me. So implement that learning in my routine in my life. So and this is all going to take time. So what am I going to sacrifice to do this, and be realistic about it before you start the course? And that's something I've been getting out of Becca Syme's class, because she talks about that kind of thing a lot, and it really resonated with me, because I'm the kind of person who will be very optimistic about what I can fit into my busy life. 100%. And I don't, so I'll sign up for things because, like, I'll see a course, you know, make $1 million from Facebook ads, and I'll be like, yes, I want $1 million from Facebook ads, sign up. But I want the end result. You know, I'd really like it if you could do it like in the Matrix, where they downloaded the information directly into your brain, and it's like, now I can fly a helicopter. Yeah, that'd be great. I don't, you know, I have to fit these 20 hours of video watching plus, you know, 100 hours of making Facebook ads into my life if I do this course. So what am I going to sacrifice to do that?
I think that's such a good point. I think so often we think about the course in and of itself, so we maybe think, oh, this has got 20 hours of video, whatever, I have to watch it, but then you've got the implementation of it, you know. And I think it is such a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
I think the thing, like, when I first heard people starting talking about sacrifice, it makes you feel like you're going to have to, like, sacrifice something terrible, like you're going to give away your firstborn child or something. And actually sometimes the things that you're sacrificing are not even, like, maybe not watching crappy TV that you don't even really enjoy anyway, or so, you know, there might be things that you can get rid of out of your life that are not going to be that big a deal, but you have to actually make the conscious effort and the conscious decision to do that, right? Like, it's so when we talk about doing the right course. I also think, so the other thing I was going to say, sorry, I remembered what I was going to say. So Becca Syme talks about the different personalities and the different things. And so I know for me, I'm high learner and high input. And are you as well, Tanya? Have you got?
No, I'm not
right.
so high. No,
you're all the people stuff, aren't you? That's right.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about Clifton's strengths here, just before
Yeah, so I know that Shar is high learner and high input too. So for the two of us, that's why we like to be learning and having all the information come in. But for someone who's more of like an activator or a doer, like I think they might be maybe less inclined to do as many courses, and maybe they need to think harder about which courses they're going to do because of that limited space or limited need for that.
It makes sense.
Well, inputs, they feed creatively on learning, right? So,
or they're just lots of information in.
Whereas I have achiever as one of my top strengths, and so I feel like I want to achieve all the things, I guess, and so taking the courses, I need to feel like I'm getting something out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes a lot of sense. And so that's another important thing is we've said it already, but know thyself, know what kind of stuff. And if Wendy and Shar were here, they'd be Wendy'd be like, I'm not going to take any courses and I'm just going to go and do the thing. Although she has done courses in her time, so okay, so that's cool. So if we're thinking in terms of how to get the most out of doing a course, like what is the number one thing? So sacrifice, I think, is a really good one that Tanya's already mentioned, but are there other things that you need to think about or do?
I think we'll be mindful about when you're doing it, which kind of goes into the, be prepared to give up time or give up something else in order to focus on it. But also, I think as Tanya's already said, we so often overcommit or over enthusiastically take on stuff thinking, I'll just add that to my schedule, and it's at the wrong time. So I think the timing of it in your life is really important as well. But also just having mental bandwidth to actually better take it on. I mean, I know that I have bought courses when I've been in a funk and it's to get me out of a funk, and it's possibly not the best time and frame of mind to actually do it. So I'd say that.
Yeah. What about you, Tanya?
I think one of the important things for me, at least, is to know what format the course is going to be in, because I learn better some ways than others. I know if it's a lot of videos, I can do that, but I have to be doing something else at the same time. I cannot just sit there and watch a video.
Oh my God, I'm the same.
So the two things that work for me, I watch while I cook is a good one. And I do tend to absorb it then. I can also listen while I'm driving. Or another good one is to watch with a friend and both take notes and talk about the material. So those are three ways. Otherwise, I can't absorb it. I just cannot. I find myself, I'll start watching it, and next thing I know, I'm reading something else and the video's just gone by and I didn't listen to any of it. That's
really good advice. I like the idea of reading with someone else. I mean, watching it with someone else. I hadn't thought of that one. And I tell you what, for me, a game changer was getting earbuds that are wireless, because I used to either have to listen to it on volume in the kitchen when I was cooking, for example, and then other members of the family would come in and they'd be like making noise and stuff. So earbuds in, I can cook and do whatever, still hear it, and it doesn't make noise around, and I love that. And also, I also love driving in the car and listening. The only downside of driving in the car is that you can't take notes, and I do like taking notes. Okay, so let's maybe talk specifically about some of the courses that we've done, maybe. And
maybe we can go maybe break them out a little bit into maybe like craft. I mean, when we talk about my personal kind of, I guess, thing is when somebody's talking about a self-publishing course or a course for self-publishing authors, a lot of us kind of immediately jump to it's going to cover marketing, and it's going to, or maybe the nitty-gritty of actually getting books up there, like publishing your books. but there's also craft and stuff like that. So in mindset-y stuff. So maybe we can, I don't know,
separate them
broadly
out.
categorize them.
Well, what we discovered before we hit record is that I met both Tania and Shar in writing courses.
Yeah.
I hadn't realized
Craft
that.
courses.
Craft courses, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a long time ago. Like
Yeah.
I can't
20
even,
years ago,
yeah,
Trudy.
2020.
Almost.
So you were let out from preschool, you two, to go and do a course. That's impressive.
That's exactly how that happened. So yeah, Tanya and I were doing nuts and bolts through the it was at the local
Auckland University.
There
Yeah.
was a university, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe that's a good place to start, which is your local education provider, you know, regardless of what country you're in. I mean, it's a good place to go for some, particularly for craft, I would have thought, courses.
Yeah. And it was in person. I got to meet people, and that's actually one of the big benefits of doing an in-person course, is actually meeting other writers in person, and not just the information you're getting and all the I couldn't even tell you what she told us about in that course. I'm sure it was genius, whatever it was. What was her name? Do you remember her name?
Joan Rosier Jones.
You remember it too.
And
I've got a book.
yeah, and I think you know, going to that course really started my entire writing career, because at that course, at lunchtime, a group of us were all, you know, getting our lunch at the same place and sitting down. We all sat together, and we talked about starting a writing group. And from then on, we met once a week for years, didn't we? And we all supported each other, critiqued each other's work. And that without that group, I don't think I would have ever gone on to publish work or because it was so helpful and so valuable. And that all came from that writing course.
Yeah.
That's crazy, eh? And everyone was so talented, or are so talented from that group. Like everyone was really motivated, and they all, even when we didn't agree. But anyway, that was something that came out of a course that we, you know, like that's something that you
and
wouldn't
I think that's the
necessarily
benefit of in person. I think if you're a course newbie, I would say try and go for an in-person one just to get that kind of experience. And
then the one I met Shar at was a science fiction author.
Science fiction, and I mean,
I don't know what either of us were doing at
no idea, because
I look back, I can't even remember her name. Her
name was CJ Cherry, with a Y on the end of Cherry. I just remember it was something like that. But she was a lovely lady. But I mean, I had no business being there, because I wouldn't know a science fiction book from a frying pan. So but
I mean,
it was
I read
fun.
sci-fi. I like sci-fi. I'm not, but it was just interesting. But I mean, she was good. I enjoyed her.
She was great.
But
again, sometimes it might not fit with you 100%, but sometimes going somewhere that you think, oh, maybe, you know, I'll only get I only should be here 50%. It's still fine, you know. I think the in-person thing, and there's a lot around now, probably even more than there were all those years ago. So I would start there. I mean, we've all been to, you know, our various romance writing organizations, whether it's local or international. I mean, they're conferences, but, you know, mini workshops, so which is still under the umbrella of courses, and I think it's very validating to be with other writers, you know.
100%. The other course that comes to mind that we've done is, there was Steve Kaplan, who was an American comedy writer, and he came, a screenwriter, and he came, and I loved that course. I still remember that, because some of the stuff he told us, I still remember vividly.
That was brilliant.
It was very, very good. So I enjoyed that. That was me and Tanya went to that one. Again, it was years ago.
And even though we've been writing for a long, long time, I find that still going to craft workshops, that when you get the opportunity, it can really feed you creatively. And even if you know the material being presented, I don't know about you, but even if you know the material being presented, it still sparks new ideas and new things inside you, you know. And you think, oh my God, I've just thought of something I'm going to use for my new novel that I hadn't
Yeah.
thought about that way
Yeah.
as the person. So that's what I find.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. Sometimes it's like repeating this, like, you know, a lot of the stuff, like we're experienced writers now, we like someone says it, but it's sometimes even saying it in a different way, like the same thing told to you by someone different, a different perspective on the same thing. It's 100%.
I agree. I mean, I always think of it sort of like cooking shows. We all know how to turn on an oven and presumably boil water in a pot, but look at all the cooking shows on television. Like they're constantly coming up with new things. So it's the same thing. To me, it's the same thing, you know. It's it's inspiring and it triggers ideas. And for myself, sometimes it's just how somebody says something in a particular way, it resonates way more than if it does, you know, from somebody else, and we're all different. So
I've been recently, last year in November, I did a course with Maggie Stivater, and she is a very, very awesome young adult author who Tania introduced me to, actually, and I love her. She's awesome. And so both of us did she does a Vimeo course, which is like a I don't know how many hours, I want to say 8 hours, but I think it might be more than that.
I think it's more. Yeah. It was such a great course though. Like of all the, I mean, you get, after a while of doing these craft courses, and we've been doing it for a long time, you get to know the information presented. So when you find someone who's doing something completely new and different, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, and it really opens things up. And I found her course on was like that for me, was things I'd never heard presented that way before, and it was great.
How she thought about it was amazing. Like, just I had so many little things that I got out of it, and I really liked her and the way she presented. She really resonated with me, and so I did that first, and then last year in November she offered this thing she called it a cannonball run, and it was like basically the month of November we just it was a Discord server, was all the students talking together, and then twice a week she had like group sessions, and then once a week you got like a 20-minute to half-hour session with her, and she would read your book or what you were working on, and then give you critique on it, and then you'd sit there and discuss it. And that by itself was worth the money, let alone all the other group sessions and the Discord stuff.
So if somebody's listening to this and they want to access, like, is it ongoing courses, or is it just a one-off sort of thing? I think
you just have to join. She does other stuff as well. I know she did a Scottish retreat in a castle for a week.
Oh wow,
with a group
sounds
of authors,
like a real drag.
That would be amazing.
And she is the most kind of, she's just an innovative thinker. I just had the best time sitting there and chatting with her about story, like that. It was great, and she was really a big thinker. Like she's all about the themes and the creating the story, and she made me think about my stories in ways that I hadn't thought about before. So, you know. Okay,
so maybe first stop is to go to Maggie Stivater's website and
or join her Facebook page
and follow her on Facebook. She always posts about what she's going to be doing on there.
Here we go.
So
awesome.
and she's really cool. She's just and it's nice because she doesn't write for me this was nice, you know, she'll write a book a year, and I mean she's traditionally published, so this is, if you're a self-published author, it's more about the craft angle of things, but she's also she's just she has a farm, she has lots of stuff going on in her life. She's an amazing artist. So it's just kind of about someone who's living this amazing
people
life.
Just have too much talent, don't they?
I know. It's really funny. Anyway, I should stop.
But I think that's a good point, because I think sometimes, again, and it's not your fault, and it's not necessarily the presenter's fault, but sometimes you just gel personality-wise with somebody that's giving a course than other people. And so sometimes you'll see online, you know, on different writers forums, so-and-so did XYZ course, and somebody else says, oh no, that just didn't, you know, that was a waste of time, it didn't work for me. And often it can be something indefinable, and it's just one of those, you know, meshy things.
And at the risk of sounding completely sexist, I often find I prefer female presenters. And I, you know, and that's, I don't know, that is just what it is. I can't, but it's just something about it that, and I've done courses with men and they've been awesome. So it's not across the board or anything, but I don't know. I often find that I feel more connected to female presenters. So
nothing wrong with that. Again, know thyself.
Yes. Tania's looking at me like judgingly, but you know.
That's your imagination. This is my resting face.
Oh, okay, your resting judging face. Okay. So are there any other craft courses that we've done that anyone can recommend?
I know Tania was talking about, I haven't done her courses, but Margie Lawson, she's been around, I mean this in the most respectful way, she's been in the writing world a long time, pre-self-publishing days. I remember her coming up to Romance Writers of New Zealand, it must be at least 15 years ago, with a particular editing kind of workshop that she was doing there. But I understand that a lot of writers really enjoy her courses. I think they're a set time again. Trudi, you've done one, haven't you? Or you're doing one?
No,
not yet.
I got recommended to do the dialogue one. Someone told me that was awesome.
Okay.
But
yeah, I have to admit I haven't done her courses either, but I do know a lot of people who have done her courses and highly recommend them. The other one that would be good to recommend, which I have done her courses, is Lisa Cron.
Oh yes.
She's
now we had Lisa,
Oh
just shout out for Spa Girls podcast. She's on our podcast. I'll make sure the link to that is in show notes. But we all fell in love with Lisa Cron on that interview.
I've got all of her books. I've got all of her. I've done it. So she's on Creative Live. I don't know if she's got courses that are outside of that, but that's where I've done her courses, and they were so good. Like she's
so good.
There's several
story
of them
magic.
Yeah.
But again, it's I had bought the book, and I just got so much more from talking with her than I did. Than I went and bought the Creative Live course. Just a side note here for non-craft, but if you're looking at the mechanics of anything branding or design or anything like that, Creative Live is my first recommendation as a place to go, because it specializes in that kind of professional development, if you like. But no, Lisa Cron is the bee's knees, man, for craft or story structure,
story structure rather than the nitty-gritty of sentence structure. She's talking about the overall kind of story. So is there any other ones that we want to recommend for that kind of thing, craft, or should we move on?
I find them going. I mean, are we going to talk about conferences separately? But
no, talk about it. I think as part of this.
The
craft.
I go to RWA most years, and they have a lot of good craft workshops there. Sessions.
So it's Romance Writers of Australia rather than of America you're talking about?
Yes, I've been to the American conference, and I've been to the Australian and the New Zealand. All are good. I personally didn't get as much from the American conference when I went, only because it was so much larger and slightly overwhelming, whereas the New Zealand and Australia ones are smaller, more you feel a bit more personally involved, so but definitely a good option. And then there's all the online conferences as well, like RAM and InkersCon and things. They all have craft. InkersCon has some great craft.
Actually, when I think about it, you can also get short recordings of like the sessions at RWA. And there's one that I love, which is, I don't know if you consider it craft. It's Jennifer Lynn Barnes talking about the id, and that is just amazing.
So they're just the audio recordings only.
And it's just like a short, an hour.
I got that. I bought that the other day. It was $14. I think it was really reasonable. It wasn't very expensive, and it's well worth getting. I like it as well. It's very similar to Theodora Taylor's Seven Figure.
It's sort of part of that same kind of the universal fantasies, but it's I there is a difference though. I feel like the id is talking about things like she talks about your favorite scene. So she talks about like having a scene on a roof, or always having a scene at kissing in the rain, or which I guess it could kind of be a universal fantasy, but it's also just the finding and putting in the tiny little moments into the books that you love, that which is universal fantasies feel the same emotional level, the same emotional kind of pull, but they're slightly bigger Yeah.
things or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
yeah, very similar. You're right.
Yes,
just-
and she has two audio recordings that are available, and the other one is about the she talks about 5 more universal things.
Yeah.
This is
The psychology,
it.
wasn't it? It was a psychology of different things.
Yeah,
Is
it
the same
was
one?
the psychology of what triggers a psychological response in readers. I can't remember what the audio recording is called, but it talks
Because there's
about
one about cheesecake. Is that the one where it's like, because Steven Pinker's thing about it's like story is like cheese, or the hooks are like cheesecake or something. Does that not ring bells with anyone?
I know, but clearly I need to go. So what I'm going to tell people to do is go to Romance Writers of America website and look up the conference recordings, and you can buy them
just
there.
search for her name.
Yes, Jennifer Lynn Barnes.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, we should probably keep moving because we're
so just talking what Tania mentioned, Incas Con. I've done a number of the different Incas Con. Now I haven't gone, it's both an in-person event and they record it professionally as well. So I've only ever done it the online version, if you like, and I like it because I can pick and choose what sessions I want to watch at a time, so it's sort of an easier way for me to take it in if I'm feeling in a crafty mood. I don't think I've watched all of them because I'm in that percentage where you don't complete everything. I kind of cherry pick what I want to watch.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you can.
No, and I mean, some people, particularly for those of us, like for the 3 of us, we're in a different time zones completely to the US, so it makes it hard to take part if they've got an online like live component, which sometimes they do. They'll have like a discussion or a follow-up, and so for us, we're often just used to doing it that at our own time kind of thing, which is going back to when you're considering what to do, think about your time zone too, and how it works with any live components. Trudy's insisted that sometimes we get up really early to watch different things online, at 4 o'clock and stuff like that, which hasn't gone down that great, to be fair. But
I did an entire year of it, of getting up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to do these things.
But that's through Alessandra Torre. We have interviewed her on the podcast before. She's a very she's a lovely lady, very knowledgeable writer, and she has really interesting guests on different people each sort of year that she runs it, and often they'll have a mini version of it sort of a few months before, and so that's a good way again to sort of taste test, if it's a sort of if it's of interest.
Yeah, that's cool. And then there's RAM, which we've talked about many times on here,
which stands for Romance Author Mastermind. That is run by Skye Warren. Again, she's been on our podcast, and that is probably the highest level. It's sort of like, for me mentally, it's a step up from Romance Writers of America conference. It's very centered around particularly romance authors, but higher level kind of intermediate above.
So that might be something to mention, thinking about, because I think a beginner writer might, for example, sign up to RAM and go, oh my god, this is really scary and I don't understand half of what they're talking about. Versus signing up to something that's more beginner level might be where you need to go. And someone's got sirens in their background. So let's talk about some of the other kind of courses. So we've also got marketing and sort of self-help type stuff. So Mark Dawson is someone we had on the podcast. Actually, the podcast went out very recently.
Yes.
I'm talking about Facebook ads. He's got the Ads for Authors course.
Yeah.
And the recently renamed, I think it was
Launchpad, which is probably a great place to start if you're starting off self-publishing and you're wanting to make sure that you've got all your boxes ticked in terms of how you set up your career as an author and working towards being, whether it's full-time or whether you want to, build your author career. The self-publishing Launchpad is excellent. I've done it, even though I kind of, I've been in this game a long time, but it's good to see other people's takes on things and why you do things. And it covers everything from the physical uploading of books through to setting up your mailing list and understanding readers and all of that kind of thing. So it kind of gives you it's a really great place to start if you're looking for a paid course. Highly recommend. And then as advertising for authors is probably the most talked about advertising course, I would say, for authors. It covers all the different forms of advertising: Facebook, Amazon, BookBub, and just the marketing theory behind it. And it's expensive, and I think personally you would need a few books under your belt in order to get the most value from it. Because, and particularly what Tania was saying before was the time to put in to watching it, learning it, but also then applying it. And it's the applying, and also you need some funds in order to advertise to apply it. So
have you done them, Tania? Have you done those?
Yeah, I think we've all done that one.
have you done the Launchpad or just the ads one?
I don't. I've got the ads one. I'm pretty sure I've got the ads one. Because I've got I jump in and out of it, but the good thing is that you have it forever.
Yes.
And they're constantly updating it. So I bought it so many years ago, but even now, if I think, I need to do a BookBub ad, I'll click on the BookBub course just to refresh myself on it. And they've put up a TikTok one, and because I've got the ads course, I can get that one for free that they've added. And so I think it's it's expensive up front.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good resource to just have there, and I have gone into it many times over the years.
Yeah. I think when you're investing, whether it's this course, other courses, another really important thing to look at is the guarantee. You want to, I mean, they're not going to guarantee you're going to become a millionaire author, but what they'll often have is a 30-day money back if you get in there and you're like, you know what, this is just not for me. It's just not for me. They've hand on heart, they're very good about refunding your money. There's never any questions asked. So I think that's something, just no matter what course you do, is to look at that, because particularly when you're investing a lot of money is important.
Yeah. And I think if you're looking at that kind of thing, so what occurs to me is I do a lot of Udemy courses. So and when I do them, I buy a lot of Udemy courses, and I do some of them. and I think when I'm looking at them now, it's not only, so I'd look at things like that, maybe the guarantee, but also, so for example, on Udemy, you can have anything from a course, that's an hour and a half of content to like 7, 10, 20 hours, and sometimes they're the same price, especially because they have a regular sale. So don't buy them full price, wait for the sale to come up, and then that sign up to the newsletter and they tell you out when it comes out. Used to be sort of $9.99, but I think it's gone up. It's about $14.99 US for the cheaper prices now. And then you can look at how the reviews on that course on Udemy. So that'll tell you an average rating, kind of like our books on Amazon, and people give feedback on that. So these are all things that you can kind of look at before you actually buy the course, to decide whether it's something that you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Creative Live has the same thing. They have reviews, and that's I think it's a good way of. Yeah, and maybe you want to dip your toe in, like Trudi says, with a $10 one first, and see if that's the way you like to learn, or if that particular instructor is somebody that you might want to spend more money with.
They do. I'm pretty sure they do this on Udemy, where you can do like a look inside for a book, but it's like you can do a sample and you can kind of hear the person talking.
Yes.
And, if they've got like something that triggers you in terms of sound of their voice or something, I don't know, then it might be something you're not able to listen to, then at least beforehand before you buy the course.
Exactly.
So
that's another thing too, just to mention, that a lot of these different course givers, if you like, will often have like a free challenge for writers, whether it's a craft challenge or whether it's an advertising challenge. They'll often maybe have like an Amazon ad challenge. Like a lot of them will have and it's just like, you get a free sample with an Amazon book to see if you like it. It's the same thing for courses, and that's a really good thing to do. And you can actually learn a lot from those, doing those. It's often a week, a certain time period. I usually run through a Facebook group. You can get support that way. And there's too many to mention, but it's something if you're in different author groups, particularly on Facebook, just ask if there's any, challenges around, and keep your ear to the ground on that one. And that's a good way of trying before you buy.
Yeah, definitely. And
another good way to try before you buy is to sign up to people's newsletters.
Yes.
And they'll often just have really good content in their newsletters where they'll give advice. And I'm signed up to Holly Darling's newsletter. She does newsletter automation for authors, MailerLite automation, and her newsletters are full of tips on how to write more engaging emails, how to set up your automations, how to make sure people are responding, how to clean your list, all that kind of thing. It's just a wealth of information in her free emails that she sends out to her newsletter subscribers. And then if you want more, she does courses that you can then sign up to, and they're very inexpensive, but they'll help you with your newsletter.
And Tammy Labrecque does the same thing, newsletter. So you can find sort of specific areas of marketing and people that are really specialized in that area, and that's a really good way to go as well, because it's hard being a generalist, not a journalist. So newsletter sign up, really, that's definitely
a way to find out if the content's something you like. Another one who does awesome newsletters and has courses is David Goffrin.
Yes.
And he's a very smart person who knows a lot about his particular area.
And he has it's online and it's free, and it's called Starting from Zero. And again, it's really wonderful if you're starting out in this. There's all you need is your time and your energy and your attention. How's that to access it?
So those are some of the marketing courses. Are there any other ones that we kind of want to mention? I mean, honestly, there are so many out there, and we're not saying this is an exhaustive list. So if we miss anyone out, we're really sorry, but
this is what we've experienced personally. I guess I would have a general warning that anybody that tries to tell you, and this is anybody, including ourselves, that they have the one answer and that nobody else has got it and they've got the secrets, that to me is a really strong red flag. There are no secrets in this business. And what courses do is that they give you the benefit of somebody's wisdom and experience, and also time saving in terms of you hunting out the information for yourself. But I can say hand on heart, like we have been broadcasting a weekly podcast for 360 plus episodes.
80 is what I put up.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, there you go. You see, so the information is all there for everybody, and we're just one podcast, the best, but we're just one. And it's all there for you. But I think what courses do is they give you one person's filtering of that information and hopefully their expertise, and they distill it in a way that it's all there for you. But be careful of the person that says that they've got the golden ticket and the answer to everything. That's all I'm saying.
100% agree.
So you had another course, is that what you were just saying, Tania?
I was just saying that I also recently took Steph Green's, she does Rage Against the Manuscript, her courses. I just recently took her branding course, and I really liked it. I thought she's one of these authentic people that you can trust, and she's very honest with her own figures and all that kind of thing. I mean, I think there's a danger also. One of the other things to be wary of is buying a course from someone who's not doing well themselves, and they make their money from courses not from practicing what they preach. So I always, if someone's offering a course, I'll go and look at them on Amazon and see how they're doing.
Absolutely.
And, if they're, if that's who they are, if they are an author in that respect. And I think, Steph does amazingly, and she really knows what she's talking about. So I really enjoyed her branding course.
She is. And Steph's an out of the box thinker as well. She looks at things in a really exciting, different way. We had her on talking about Kickstarter, but it's yeah, she's also walking the talk as well, and I think that's so important, just like you say.
100%. Yeah, and that's got, like, I've done, in fact I think others have done the Sky Warren's ads courses, and you kind of
Yes.
know that Sky is able to use Facebook ads to a level that's gotten her, you know, she does really, really well at them. And so you know that when you're doing her course. But the unfortunate thing is that I've heard along the way that maybe she's not going to be continuing with that particular course, unfortunately. So,
and I can understand why, because it must be exhausting trying to like, it's hard enough watching it, but imagine actually delivering it.
yeah.
So
I think it's an important thing to say as well, that if you do a course, like for example Sky's course with the Facebook ads, and you spend a lot, because it's an expensive course, it's a great course, and but it's expensive, and you spend a lot of money, and then maybe the Facebook ads don't work for you, and it makes you feel like a failure. Don't, because I think different things will work for different people, and unfortunately it's just a matter of trial and error, finding what works for you. But it can be very dispiriting when you do a course, and especially if other people in the course are finding success and you just cannot get it to work for you.
Especially with stuff like ads, because they are they're variable on lots of different things. It's not just a matter of everyone can put this one type of ad up and have it work for them, because some genres it's different, and that
some
is
books it's different as well. You know, it can be just down to a single book that works better than another single book.
And another thing I'd quite like to mention is sometimes courses, even if it's the course itself isn't amazing, or it can just be what you need to launch something. Like, for example, many years ago, when Amazon ads were first became available to authors, I did a couple of courses that don't exist anymore. Well, and the first one I did, I think not many people knew about Amazon, how Amazon ads worked, about the algorithms. It was very much trial and error. And the course, I think some of the things in the course probably were not, technically correct, that we found out later, years later. But the course was what I needed to feel comfortable doing Amazon ads and learn and figure out how to work out ROI and all that kind of thing. So it paid for itself many times over, just because I was then able to set up the ads, and it got me confident enough to do that. So sometimes, those, it's just all you need is that little push. And then
there's sometimes benefits, I guess, that aren't exactly from learning the information, but just from getting you to the right place or where you need to be. That's very true. 100%.
Just another site too, if you're looking some sort of basic knowledge about setting up ads and things. I mean, there's obviously the KDP itself, Amazon itself have some good tutorials on there, but also a wonderful site is run by Dave Chesson. It's called kindlepreneur.com, and he has like how to set up this and like sort of the basics as well. And Readsy, I think, is another excellent free resource for different things, whether it's formatting or doing other things. And as is BookBub Partners, they have a really good, it's a blog, but I would still consider it training, and it's not just pitching themselves, but it's other sort of more general marketing things, advice on there too, which is really valid. So there's a lot of information out there. It's sorting it out is a hard thing, but I think on the mental side of it, I think it's like Tania says, it's not to be despondent if you don't get the results that other people get. And I would always be honest with the person that's giving the course or the people that are giving it, and maybe trying to talk to them about that, being open to receiving feedback
I had something I want to mention on that. So that's one side of it, saying, you know, it doesn't work. But I think what I used to do was I used to feel like buying the course meant that I should automatically, by osmosis, get all them, you know, suddenly
there's a
become rich
reason
and
that I've got
famous.
30 diet books on the shelf,
Yeah,
because by buying the diet book,
it immediately means that you will be thinner.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted, because that's what I did last year, and I did it actually. If we're going to bring up weight loss, this is what I did. I did a course called Wild Fit, and it was like a 3-month challenge. And I've done many dieting things through my years, and not all work. But this one, I was like, at the beginning, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do every sodding thing this man tells me to do, and I'm going to do it to the letter. And I did it, and I lost like 10 kgs or something in that 3-month period, which was awesome. And I was super healthy and doing lots of awesome things. And I think same goes for a lot of these courses we talk about. If you get in there, give it your best. You don't just listen to the first video and go, oh, well, that's too difficult. Or like, and actually, if these people are giving advice, try taking the advice. Like often you say to someone, oh, you know, what you need to do is change your covers, and they'll be like, oh, but I really like these covers, and I think I'm just going to leave the cover and do all the other stuff you say. But if the person is telling you to change up your cover, then they're telling you it for reasons, you know. So don't I mean, I don't want to say, like, you have to do what feels right for you, I guess. That's kind of important, and we all know that. But
keep an open mind.
Yeah, like keep an open mind. Like try and, if this person is an expert and you've trusted them enough to buy their course, try doing everything they say. You know, like give it a shot. Like if they say change your cover, try changing your cover. And I mean, if it doesn't work, you can always change back. But maybe it will work if you know. Like there's just. I just find, and once you commit, once you fully kind of say, yes, I'm all in and I'm going to do everything they tell me, I think that you find that you will have much better success with a lot of these.
And with your challenge, it doesn't have to be, I'm going to do everything they tell me for the rest of my life. It could be, I'm going to do everything they tell me for the next month or the next 3 months.
I mean, that what got me through the 3 months was like, I don't have to do this forever. It's just for that period. But I mean, there's a lot of good habits that I got out of that I can continue using. So I wanted to mention one more course before, but then I think we might be almost done with is I'm currently doing Right to Riches with Renee Rose. And I love Renee. She's just the most beautiful person in the world. And Right to Riches is a course. And what I have loved about it is there's video content and there's meditations and there's all these things. It's all about mindset and kind of having an abundant mindset for authors. There's no marketing, there's no writing advice. It's all just how to get the right mindset so that you can be successful. But we do like weekly sessions. So we do a weekly call where everyone who's doing it gets on the call, and Renee talks us through different stuff, and we get meditations on that live call. And there's a Facebook group that we can all chat into. There's other things that happen, you know, like there's a lot of community and a lot of engagement as part of it. And that has been, for me, I'm someone who I like to be able to talk to other people about stuff that I'm learning. So it kind of, I do need that engagement. I find it harder if I'm just watching videos and there's no one else. I just need like the interaction with the person taking the course. Like honestly, I'm a teacher's pet. I'm a little nerdy swat. I want to go give that apple to the teacher so they know I'm around. So
you're sitting in the front chair, front desk,
asking all the questions.
And you're like, now Trudy, let somebody else ask a question this time.
No, it's my turn.
I can just see it.
Yeah, that's me.
But I think that's good, and that's also understanding how you best take in information and how you best like learning is really important as well.
And sometimes pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to actually be that person who asks the questions, even though it can feel, for some of us more introverted types, it can feel, you know, difficult and you know, and we really have to push through it. It is a way to then learn better for some of us. I think so. I mean, I used to be really shy when I was a kid. I don't think I was that, but now I am 100% the nerdy swat sitting at the front asking all the questions. So the other one, sorry, quickly, that we wanted to mention was masterclass. So I've done James Patterson's one. I've looked in on Judy Bloom and R.L. Syme. I haven't done the whole thing. I'm a non-finisher in those two, but they were both very good.
Shonda Rhimes is excellent.
And Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman also looked in on his, didn't finish it, but looked in.
You are a non-finisher.
You left Neil hanging, did you, Trudy? It's pretty rough,
Very
mate.
good. No reflection on Neil. It was me, not him.
He's just down the road from me at the moment.
What?
On Waiheke Island, isn't
He's
he?
on Waiheke Island, yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lots of friends have had encounters with Neil Gaiman, so you know,
Awesome.
I wouldn't know the man if I fell over in the street, but so it's
Oh,
wasted on
100%.
me.
I would. He's like a rock star. I remember going to see, the other thing I've done a lot of is gone to see like like readers and writers festivals.
Yes, often
And-
writers' festivals, the more
Yeah.
for me, the literary ones where I feel like a potato at a carrot convention. But yeah, I don't
well,
understand.
I went and saw Neil Gaiman, and it was like he was a rock star. Like the dude is just literally this rock star of the writing world, where everyone's all geeky and like I don't know, introverted, hiding behind their books. He's like this rock star dude who just
He's amazing.
He is. He's very amazing. I like him. Anyway, so are there any other courses or anything else we wanted to mention?
Again, just in general, YouTube is a wonderful place to go if you're thinking about somebody, or even getting a review on particular courses. Sometimes people will review them themselves and go over what they got from it, what they didn't. You know, you don't get the actual course content, but it might give you a feel for it. But yeah, ask around. I think this is just something that it's really good to ask around and just understand that not everything works for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's a very good place to end, just the idea that we
Well,
are
I've
all
got one more
different.
place where we put a full stop at the ending of that, and the best place for resources is to go to spargirlspodcast.com, because we've got 380 plus episodes on there for you to learn from, and pretty much anybody that's running a course we've had probably on our podcast.
Yeah, now we've heard about Holly Darling. We're going to have to get her on the podcast.
Yeah, I know that's written down for you, Trudy, and
Yeah,
she'll be
yeah.
getting approached next.
Not everyone wants to come on and talk to us, but hopefully Holly will.
And since for the last 3 years, we've also been posting on our YouTube channel at Spark Girls Podcast on YouTube, and so you can sort of see people again if you like that visual aspect. And while you're cooking, you can have us chatting away
Making
there
faces
online. Yeah.
at each other.
And a lot of course runners, as well as ourselves, have a Patreon. So we're at patreon.com/Spargirls Podcast. We have a paid mastermind, self-publishing mastermind Facebook group for one of our tier rewards. And so that could be a gentle way to get some personal interaction and with us and with other writers. But a lot of also course people like Becca Syme have Patreon. I think I'm pretty sure she has Patreon, maybe Renee, or Lisa Vino, people in the abundance sort of mindset-y sort of field.
Lee and
Becca
Renee
Syme.
Lee and Renee have a monthly course thing on Teachable, actually. So it's a monthly
Teachable.
call.
Okay.
So it's through a different platform. So Teachable is another platform that a lot of people use for their courses.
But the subscription model, if you like, is something that a lot of course people are providing now. And again, it's just a very cost-effective way of dipping your toe in. So let us
100%.
know what you do and what you found and what you've enjoyed.
I'd be curious to know if there's other courses that people have listened to that they think are really good, or anyone else that they have had as a course that they want to have on the show, want us to talk to. Maybe if you, because that's another good way to get a sense of what the person is like, is to listen to them on a podcast. Like if you are trying to decide whether you're going to do Mark Dawson's or Becca Syme's or whoever's, we've had them all on the show, and you can listen to them talk for free and decide whether or not you like them. So,
and chances are we've dug far more information out than would be polite. We try our best to
ask
make
them
them
all their personal
comfortable
details
and ask them everything that we want to know. So, and
just one more question. One more question. No, I'm saying.
Yeah. That's truly one more question. Wendy will be rolling her eyes around about now. And thank you so much to Tania for getting up early for us and joining us when Trudi and I were going rogue in the spa by ourselves.
I couldn't let you go rogue.
Wendy wouldn't have been happy. Neither was Cheryl, to be fair. So, Tania, if people want to go and find out a little bit more about you and what you do, where's the best place to find you?
They can find me, they can find about my romance author personality at taliahunter.com, or my non-romance writer personality at taniahutley.com. I also tutor some courses at a writers college, so NZ Writers College or UK Writers College. They're online classes, so I tutor those. So
you're the big meanie tutor. So if you want to have Tania as your big meanie tutor, you can go there.
I'm very nice, Trudy. Sometimes. Yeah, that's me.
It. That's her. Okay.
Awesome.
And if anyone wants to find us, where's the best place to find us, Shar?
Always at spygirlspodcast.com. I would hope that that's on your favorites bar at the top of your website browser, just saying.
Absolutely. We will check on all of you who are listening to this to make sure that is the case. Anyway, but that's all we have time for now. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Spa Girls podcast. We'll be back again next week, but for now, farewell.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.